let's go to Alabama, where there's a tragic story. 9-year-old McKenzie Adams, of course, committed suicide in early December. Folks, her mom and grandmother said she was bullied at school because she had a white friend and because a white family drove her to school. The family says they told the school about the bullying. The school says there's no record of that. In any event, this 9-year-old girl is dead. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that bullying and suicide are indeed linked. Joining us right now is psychologist Dr. Jeff Gardier. Jeff, this is, just unbelievable. And one of the things I'm still trying to find out is, and the reason I'm asking this, because also what's the racial dynamic? Was she being ridiculed by black students, by white students? What's the deal here? Because what were those dynamics? But what do you say to a parent and a child comes home and is saying these things, and what do you say you do? All of a sudden, parents find her hanging in a room.
Yeah, I'm sure her parents were absolutely shocked that something like this could happen, because we hear of stories where kids are bullied all the time, but we don't make the connection or even the correlation that it could lead to suicidal behaviors. But we do know that if there is something else going on, a lack of family support, perhaps some developmental issues, perhaps some issues with depression, then that could put a child more at risk. And I talked about this morning on another network, that the important thing is that we need to pay attention to these cases and this very tragic case and come to the realization that this can happen to a very young child. And Roland, a study just released said that black children between the ages of 5 to 12 years old are actually having higher suicide rates than white children. And this is the first time in a very long time that we've seen that kind of statistic. So this is happening in our community, and we must pay attention to it, and we must address it, because it doesn't fix itself.
So here's one of the things that I've often heard, that folks my age, I turned 50 in November 14th. And I've heard folks say, look, when we went to school, we got bullied. We had kids who made fun of us. We had kids who criticized us, who attacked us for how we looked and how we dressed, and you didn't have kids killing themselves. What is going on here? What is the difference? Is that we're living in now a social media driven climate? What makes this period different from previous periods where kids were bullied or were picked on at school?
We used to theorize about this, Roland, but now we know the reality. It's exactly what you said. We are living in a social media type of environment where so many of our children are online. They live online, and therefore it's easier for them to become socially isolated, to not talk to their parents as to what's going on. We tend to not even speak to our children because we don't understand what it is that they are doing, what their culture is about, the fact that they seem very grown up and that they can, in many ways, maneuver through social media. And as older persons, we're just not able to do that. But it is the fact that social media, even though it opens the world for them and they have all of these so-called friends on social media, the fact is it allows them to become very, very isolated and to become even further bullied by that social media.
So I'm reading a story. So the Tuscaloosa News talked to her aunt McKenzie Edwina Harris, and this is what she said. She said, "Henry, go to my iPad. The fourth grade student had been bullied by other students at the U.S. Jones Elementary School in Demopolis, Alabama, for the entire school year. Quote, she was being bullied the entire school year with words such as kill yourself, you think you're white because you ride with that white boy, you ugly black bitch, just die." Then she says that McKenzie's mother said that her daughter had notified her teachers and her assistant principal about the bullying. And then she said that the bullying began again shortly after her daughter transferred to the school, and she had reportedly also been bullied at her previous school. Now, the school is saying they have no record of that. Now, what I'm trying to also find out I'm trying to understand what all this reporting is. If you're the parents or the aunt or whatever, what visits did they document going to the school, going to the principal? Because look, I know how I grew up. My teachers and principals knew who my parents were very well because they never left anything up to me. Though my parents were at the school and they knew Reginald and Imelda Martin.
Right. So, Roland, I think part of what's going on is, and one of the things that we do try to work with parents are to be partners with the schools, with the teachers, with the counselors, and too often we're seeing that's not happening. The reality is, and you know this, and you've talked about this throughout your career, that there is a socioeconomic factor. Ms. Malveaux has talked about this in many ways, that it is much, much tougher for people of color out there financially, so they're working 2 and 3 jobs, and then it takes away their power or their presence to actually be in the lives of their children. So there is, something does happen. There is that collateral damage. And that's why it's so important, as you're saying, that we know who the teachers are. We know who the counselors are. I also suspect one other thing that may have been going on. Once a child becomes bullied and they become a target, now they become bullied and a target to so many other children. They now are given a role where everyone doesn't need to look at their own stuff. Everyone doesn't have to deal with their own issues of self-esteem. They can pick on that one popular target and say those horrible things that we heard were said to her. And what's really shameful is some of those things may have been said not by just white children, but also by black children. And we know we have these issues with regard to color and caste and class and self-hatred, and something that we need to work on.
Dr. Jeffrey Gardner, we certainly appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. We want you to write this website down, marijuanastock.org, marijuanastock.org. And so here's why. As we transition into the holiday season, this is the time, of course, when we start thinking about giving and sharing. And sometimes the best gift can be something you give someone, which is an opportunity that can potentially change their lives. That's why our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate have created an investment opportunity for the everyday investor. It involves legal marijuana and crowdfunding. Now, we all know that legal marijuana has created one of the fastest growing industries in the nation, a multi-billion-dollar industry. We also know that crowdfunding makes it easier to be an early investor of an opportunity, but it gets easier. Transatlantic Real Estate is different. They have a business model that is simple to understand. What they're going to do is they buy land that supports marijuana grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants. Now, what that means is you're investing in the landlord of a licensed marijuana farm in a high-growth market. Now, you can invest little as $300 up to $10,000 before the company goes public. And here's the piece. They have recently extended the offer, which means you still have time if you take action now. Now, keep in mind, you must complete and confirm your application to participate, so be sure to complete the process. Now, look, don't spend all of your money over the holidays and end up with empty pockets. Instead, get a return on your investment. You can also consider making this an investment for someone special. To get started, go to marijuanastock.org, marijuanastock.org. If you want to get in the game, you can do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.